Now we're on to scene 10. Scene 10 for me is with Bonnie and Joe, when Joe brings Bonnie a dish, and this is like a really major scene for Bonnie, also for Joe, but mainly for Bonnie, in the fact that she completely loses it. This is her breakdown, this is her moment that everything in the play has been leading up to, and these small cracks that had slowly been showing through finally break, and she has a complete breakdown, and all of this is almost projected onto Joe, because Joe was there at the time, but also because Joe is this someone who Bonnie feels that has just violated her trust and come into her home. So first and initially, looking at this scene, and the main parts of this scene, it builds up, and I think that the first line sets it up. Bonnie has to throw a casserole dish so that it smashes and food goes everywhere, and I think that this is the thing that sets off the scene, because the pace then goes really, really fast. There's a lot of cutting off of lines, and Bonnie is saying things like, I don't want you here, and you've come to my home, which I specifically said I could not share with you, and is telling her to get out, and is telling her that she's let her into his life as much as she's humanly capable of doing so. So I'm going to speak about some of these lines that Bonnie says specifically and what we thought as a class, and then I'm going to talk about some of the direction and what I feel about the characters at this stage. So Joe says it was an awful idea. Okay, fine. She's admitting to this, but she's not. It's no serious thing. Joe is a really light-hearted character and is funny and bubbly, and this is not that kind of scene. So Bonnie snaps and tells her to get out. There's a nice sequence of cutting off the lines that I think we're going to have to practice, because we couldn't really do it very effectively at the moment, but I think it will work really well in showing Bonnie's anger. I think because of Bonnie's character has been so almost mellow in the previous scenes with a lack of emotion, this is going to be a real kick to the audience, because she suddenly shows all this emotion. I feel that this emotion has come from something that she's held back inside, not known how to control, and not had any connection to or way to release it, and I think that this has just suddenly sent her off the edge, because Joe had no right to be there. Joe comes to the house that Bonnie has an inheritance to, but I feel doesn't know what to do with, and is the house that was Anna's house, and the house that Carol bought that Anna redid. And I think that it's something that Bonnie feels strongly about, but doesn't know how to project this, and Joe coming here is a violation of that. It's not only that Bonnie feels that Joe is violating that, but I think she feels that everybody is trying to take away her understanding. Everybody is violating that. Everybody is overstepping boundaries, and she feels that she has no connection to who she is. She doesn't know who she is. And I think that's what makes her so angry. Perhaps not even the physical thing of Joe coming here and invading her space and her home and everything, and invading her mind. It's all about how she feels angry because she never had the connection to her family, because her mother killed herself when she was a baby, and her dad Jamie walked out on her. And I think she feels that she deserved to know, and that it was so difficult for her to know. It was such an awful thing for her, and she had a right, and that those rights had been taken away from her, and this was the only right that she has got, and she needs that. At the same time, there is an interaction between Jamie and Anna, and on the other side, Carol and Anna as a child. This scene, even though it's Bonnie who's the one who's shouting the most, I feel seeing this scene is more to do with Anna than Bonnie, because it's young Anna on one side and Carol singing her a song. It shows her when she's innocent and vulnerable, and Carol looking after her, but it's sort of a caring scene, but you know that the inevitable is going to happen and Carol is going to kill herself, and you know that Anna at that stage is unaware of all of this and the innocence and how things changed and resulted in Bonnie being the way she was, losing it because she didn't have any recollection to all of this, because she didn't know her mother. In the next scene across, Anna and Jamie, Anna is giving birth. It's a funny scene because it's this interaction where Jamie's quite a cheeky chappy and he is, trying to massage her, but it takes a step too far where she says, "Are you trying to have sex with me?" And it's funny in some senses, but I think that this shows how things aren't going to get better between Anna and Jamie. In the last scene we had some hope and I think they were at a good stage, but I think that it's sort of foreshadowing that things are going to go downhill from here, because she snaps at him, she tells him to get out, and she's an independent woman who deals with things on her own. But I think that in this scene it shows how she doesn't want Jamie anymore, and it's not just because she's having the baby, but perhaps this is how she's feeling, and it's about shutting people out. And I think Carol is shutting the world out but cares for Anna. Anna is caring for her baby but is shutting Jamie out, and Bonnie is shutting everybody out altogether. When playing Jo in this, Chip's said to be very upset and distressed because all the things that Bonnie is saying are really hurtful. I think it's a really hard scene to watch and to do because it's sad, and it's these characters who could potentially have worked together that don't work for some reason, and that reason is because Bonnie can't have that connection and feels like she can't have that connection. And I think that's to do with the events that happened between her grandmother's suicide and her mother's suicide. And I think that that's the theme of the play, that it haunts with you and it follows with you, and that it's inherited, and that they couldn't help that. So she goes on, and with high intensity, anger and volume, to almost shouting at Jo, saying that, you have this picture in your head and I'm not completing it, saying that she has no ability to be serious. And I think one of the main and important key parts that shows that Bonnie couldn't really have a connection to another human being, and that Jamie and Anna are not going to work anymore, is a synchronized "I love you." They both say "I love you." Jamie says "I love you" to Anna, and Bonnie and Jo says "I love you" to Bonnie. Now in the Jamie and Anna scene, Anna responds by saying "fucking hell, Jamie, lower means down, not up." "I love you" is such a powerful word, such a powerful sentence, and in any relationship that I think that the person may respond by saying it back, or at least showing their appreciation. But in both circumstances, both characters either don't respond or get angry and show this in a different way. Bonnie doesn't respond to Jo saying "I love you." She doesn't want it. And I feel that it's because she hasn't known that before. And I don't think it makes Bonnie a bad person. I think it just means that, and makes us feel quite sorry for her, because she is the way she is. And the other side is the innocence of Anna. And you couldn't imagine the little girl over there swearing at a man and being in pain, giving birth, and how this is going to ruin her life. I find that towards the end of this scene, when we were looking towards the end of this scene, when Bonnie was shouting at Joe, she sort of goes on quite a bit and there are some gaps, and it was hard to sustain the anger between those gaps. But I think that's something we're going to have to work on in rehearsals. But I also found that the long parts could be more a way of showing more anger, because she could build up her anger a lot more, an intensity in her head, because she's been holding it together throughout the whole play. But I think that this would be a good way of showing that holding all together, but I think will be hard for Bonnie's to play, definitely in this scene, because of all the gaps altogether as well. And yeah, I think this is the last scene that we have Joe in, and I think from the last scene, the scene 9 to this scene 10, Joe has realised that she's made a mistake, but Joe has realised that she also couldn't ever be with Bonnie. I don't think this affects Joe as much as it'll affect Bonnie, but I think Bonnie has realised that she don't think she can be with anyone.